Are you guys one of those couples who never have fights? You never have conflicts. You never have disagreements. I mean, you love each other. You care about each other. You want the relationship to be rich and meaningful and deep, but whatever you do, let's not fight. That's your posture. Can I just tell you, that is one of the worst things you can do in your relationship. Avoid conflict. To just keep everything level, everything's great, everything's wonderful. We never fight, is what couples say. No, we get along great. We never fight, and we never make each other mad, and we never want to hurt one another. Can I tell you that is a recipe for relationship and marriage disaster? I want to talk to you in this video about why it really is true that healthy couples fight. And I'm not talking about abusive fighting and constant fighting and bickering and being all over the place. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about normal, natural, two people who are together having conflict, because in fact and indeed, conflict can actually make your relationship better. All right, let's talk about this, because maybe you're like, I don't get this. And it could be, let me just say this, it could be that there's just one of you in the relationship who is constantly avoiding conflict because you just don't like it. Here is the first thing I want you to understand, and that is that silence signals disengagement. Silence signals disengagement. In other words, if you're not having conflicts, if you never argue, if you never raise your voices a little bit or feel that tension, feel that anxiety, feel that I'm mad with you, you're getting on my nerves, what is this all about? Why do you do this? Why are you like that anyway? If you never have that, you're missing out on something really wonderful. You're missing out on something wonderful, because silence, the opposite of what I'm describing, means that you're growing disengaged, means that you are growing more and more distant with each other, and that your relationship is actually not healthy. It's actually on decline or in decline, because whenever two people don't engage in the robust, energetic matters of conflict, the distance makes you, or rather the silence makes you begin to experience distance. It's almost like there's this, well, I guess he doesn't care, or I guess she doesn't care, and well, I'm not going to say anything either. And it's not that you don't have things going on inside of you that you really need to deal with. It's that perhaps you have been around such unhealthy conflict, because, we learn this stuff most often in our families of origin, in our homes of upbringing. If you were around chaos and mayhem whenever there was conflict, you could be at the opposite end of the spectrum, deciding whatever I do, when I get married or when I fall in love, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to do like that. And so let's just be quiet. Let's just have no conflict. And I'm telling you, the silence it's like a gateway to divorce. We'll talk about this in a moment. That silence can lead to the total dismantling of your relationship, because so many thoughts and feelings and disagreements and hurts and pains get suppressed and pushed down to the point where you start carrying those things without any resolution, which you could find, by the way, if you knew how to have healthy conflict, and you could grow your relationship. But the silence is actually a sign of disengagement. I've learned that some people don't like conflict, not only because they saw such chaos, but because it makes them feel uneasy. It can be a very disorienting, I think is a good phrase for it, good word. It can be disorienting, like I don't know what to do, because anxiety starts to rise. And rather than embrace this experience with anxiety, we're just like, nah, no, I'm not doing that. Back up. Let's not talk about that. Let's move on. But that silence, again, is a sign that you're becoming disengaged. What happens is you begin to grow distant from one another because you don't have that, what the Bible actually calls the iron sharpens iron dynamic in your relationship. In fact, the struggles of conflict can actually make you better. It can make you stronger because you actually begin to feel, you begin to sense, you begin to work on your emotions. Can I just tell you that a lot of people who think they're really having a great relationship are actually not growing in emotional maturity? You can't grow emotionally if you don't have conflict. And I would argue that you can't grow spiritually. If you have a faith background, and I do, and I talk from that background oftentimes, you cannot grow spiritually strong without having conflict. In fact, there's a passage in the Bible that says, if your brother sins against you, if your sister sins against you, right? If there's a conflict, go and show them. And if they hear you, you won your brother or sister over. In other words, the relationship actually can get better. And so I want to really encourage you. I want to challenge you, perhaps. Like, don't let the relationship not have an opportunity to get better. Don't let it not have that opportunity, because if you can have the conflict, then you can actually make the relationship better and stronger. There was a song back in the 70s, I believe it was, when I was a kid, just a wee little chap. Y'all know what I'm saying? Like, and it said, break up to make up, that's all we do. Like, I would sing it for y'all, but you're not ready for that today. Break up to make up, that's all we do. And it was, first you love me, then you hate me. That's a game for fools. They were so in love, but they couldn't stop fighting. But the thing I love about the song is that they kept going through it. Now, I can't remember how the song ends, but I do know this. At least they knew that it was the breaking up that often led to the making up. You get that? The breakups led to the makeups, and they were having these intense engagements in both ways. So let me just add this to this, that these ruptures is what they're talking about, breakups or ruptures. And we're talking specifically about breakups when there is conflict, right? We're talking about ruptures when there's conflict. In other words, our relationships grow distant in a moment because we're at odds or we disagree or someone has been offended. By the way, we're not talking about gross wounding, like brutal wounding, though that can be a part of, as we know, a part of a lot of relationships. We're just talking about everyday kind of ruptures. When those ruptures happen and we repair them, when we actually come back together, we work them out and we get back on the same plane with one another, your relationship actually gets stronger. So you don't disengage and you don't grow more distant. You actually grow closer. I hope this is making sense. Holla back in the comments if this is making sense. If you're that person who avoids conflict, you hate conflict, or if it's happening in both of your relationships, right? It can be absolutely exhausting because you're carrying so much that you really need to work out. And sometimes you just need an objective party to sit with you. Somebody like a coach. Hey, here you go. Rod Hairston, your marriage coach, right? If I haven't met you, by the way, yeah, I'm a marriage coach. I'm an executive coach to really high-performing couples in the world of sports and business and entertainment. And I love helping couples figure out how to be successful in their relationship and married life and family life, where they struggle so often, even while they're succeeding so amazingly, wildly, and financially in their businesses and in their professions, right? You want to be able to succeed in both spaces. So welcome to what I affectionately call another session. All right. So we're talking about why conflict is actually healthy. I hinted at this, but let me remind you that this silence, this lack of conflict is literally a setup for divorce. It's setting you up for divorce. As I said a moment ago, when there's silence and we don't have conflict, there is distance that starts to happen. And even though you may be silent, you are not thinking and feeling. And so these feelings keep growing inside of you. And eventually those feelings become resentments that you carry towards your spouse. And when you're carrying those resentments, eventually it can wear you out to the point where you just feel like, what is the point? This is why we got this silver divorce phenomenon happening so much around the world. Literally, people get to their 50s and 60s and even 70s and decide, I'm just tired of not being satisfied. I'm tired of not being fulfilled in my relationship life, in my married life. And a part of that dissatisfaction is because they never resolve conflicts. In fact, as we're talking about in this session, we're talking about couples who don't even engage the conflict. And you cannot resolve conflict that you don't engage. Can I take you one level deeper? Can I just help you with this? I need your permission for a moment. Can I help you with this? Like, you have to recognize that what you don't resolve in the way of conflict actually begins to revolve. So when you don't resolve it, it just keeps coming around again, some way, shape, or form. And that's a part of what exhausts couples, right? We keep having these conflicts that we don't resolve, and then we keep having the conflicts the same way, even if it's not the same exact conflict. And what is the same way? The same way is we don't do anything about it. We just go to our respective corners and we don't talk and we don't deal with it. We don't work through the strain and the struggle and then find agreement and then go, and I still care so much for you. I love you. I'm glad we worked this out. Now let's go do the makeup part. Come on, holla back at me. Is this helping anybody? Yeah. So it can be a setup for divorce is what I'm saying, because what we don't resolve will revolve, and what revolves will eventually devolve. Things don't go from a state of disorder to order, but they will easily, without work and without effort, without some outside force helping to maintain the system, they will go from a state of order to disorder. That is the law of entropy. I think it's the second law of thermodynamics. Don't hold me to it. I don't claim to be a scientist. I just claim to have paid attention in school for a little while. All right, can I tell you the third part of this session for the day? You got to start a new dance. Here's where the hope comes in. You can start a new dance in your relationship. You can start a new dance. Like, you can embrace the fact that conflict is not going to kill you. That conflict is even as dangerous as it feels. You could actually do it. Can you embrace that today in today's session? Can you say this with me? Come on, say it with me. Don't sit there. Listen, the way we get better around here is we do stuff in the direction of the success we want. So I want you to say this with me. I'm facing a conflict, and I'm going to be all right if I'll just step into it. Come on. I'm facing a conflict, and I'll be all right if I just step into it. Just step into it. Just step forward and tell yourself, remind yourself, I can do this. You have done far more difficult things, I promise you. You've built a great career. You have grown your wealth, perhaps. You have fought through other kinds of emotional battles. You've done far greater things. You can do this. You can step into the conflict. You don't have to avoid it. You don't have to treat it as if it's not a part of your journey. Let me give you just a couple more pieces to this, and we're going to wrap this video up. Did I tell you that it is an opportunity for growth? Start this new dance, because conflict is an opportunity. I think that's a great word for it. You want to start a new dance seeing conflict as an opportunity. Learn to get curious about what could be on the other side of this opportunity for your relationship. What if we actually resolve this and we get closer to one another? How about that? What if we actually resolve it and get closer to one another? Because that is absolutely 100% possible. Now, the challenge with conflict, if you've never really fully, intentionally, courageously engaged it, is it can feel really, really scary. It can feel really weird. And I want you to know that there's a surefire way for engaging conflict that can be really helpful and help you and your partner begin to get closer together in spite of the conflict, through the conflict, utilizing the conflict so that you can build a robust, fun, healthy, loving, warm relationship. Because where there's no conflict, there's a lot of coldness. Like I've worked with people who said, we just come home. We had a great time at work. We had a great time out with our friends, separate groups sometimes. But when we come home, it's just so cold. It feels dead. We go to our separate spaces. Maybe we might eat together, but oftentimes she goes to her room, he goes to his space, and they don't deal with anything. And they are existing, but they're not thriving. And here's what I want for you. I know you want it too. You can thrive in that relationship. There was a reason why you fell in love. There was a reason why you were attracted to one another. Let's help you get back to thriving. Let's help you embrace conflict.